Okay, so recently I had the pleasure of seeing the new Netflix anime movie. Pleasure is a stretch. I watched this last night. I decided to watch because I had just seen Pompo the Cinephile in theaters, which was obviously a theatrical release, and this is a Netflix release. So I was able to watch this from the comfort of my home for free. I'm just gonna rip the band-aid off and say that this did not impress me as much as I thought it might. It is a very, very visually impressive film. That is the first biggest compliment that it will get from me. It was actually incredible visually. I think this is probably some of the best animation and art that I've seen this year by far. It is very, 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 very beautiful, very impressive. So if you're just like really pretty anime films, and that's what you're into, then I definitely would still say that you should give it a watch. But it is something that you would expect from a Netflix budget. Oh, I did forget to include the music. I didn't talk about the music. Completely forgot. The music was absolutely incredible. It definitely paired up very nicely with the visuals. But that's as far as the compliments go, I do believe. My main issue with this movie was the fact that it kind of just felt like it shouldn't have been a movie. That is the theme. That is the thing that went through my head. Last 3/4 of the film, I've just constantly felt like, man, if this was just an anime and not a movie, this could have been incredible. This could have been really, really, really good. This could have been so much better than it was. I'm not really sure what went wrong in the process of getting it to viewers, but the way the story is told, it doesn't feel like how it was intended to be. I have done no research on this film. I didn't watch the trailer. I like to go into movies blind. I think that makes it more exciting and fun. I don't know if this has a manga. I don't know anything about it. I just watched the movie. Hopefully the manga, if it exists, is better. If it doesn't, make one, because I think the story has a lot more potential than what was, produced here. Now I want to make sure that people understand that I do think that the movie had a lot of great ideas. And I think what I'm saying is it had a lot of potential that it presented, but it just didn't execute them properly. So basically, the movie is set in a not post-apocalyptic, post disaster Tokyo. This reminded me a lot of Weathering with You. If you haven't seen Weathering with You, it is probably one of the greatest anime films that you will watch. So if you haven't watched that, definitely go watch that. But that movie is also about a flooding Tokyo. Increasingly over time, the city is actually flooding. There's a lot of rain, and this is something that is researched every day by scientists. It's a real thing. It's a real, problem that could be, a serious issue sometime in the future. And I really, really like that setting. I really like that, and that's where they kind of set this movie. Basically, a bunch of bubbles fell from the sky and it flooded Tokyo and caused explosions and stuff. It sounds sillier than how it was initially presented. When I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's kind of cool, kind of interesting," because it takes a little while for them to explain the backstory of why Tokyo looks like this and is, all, abandoned and messed up. And so when they finally get to that, I'm like, okay, this could be interesting if they actually explained why any of this is happening. Spoiler alert, it doesn't get explained at all. That's kind of the main issue I have with the film, is that it just doesn't explain anything. Anything at all. We see so many different interesting ideas come out of the movie. The main character has hypersensitive ears, and he's able to hear a song coming from a tower that seems to be the source of where the bubbles came from. This girl comes from the bubbles that comes out of nowhere. We learn nothing about why any of this is happening. It kind of just happens, and we're just kind of taking along for the ride of, a story that doesn't really have a story. There's a bit of romance there with the main character and this new girl, but we don't know why. There's a bit of mystery and world building there with the whole bubbles thing, post-apocalyptic Tokyo, that isn't explained at all. Like, you get the gist of the theme that kind of is presented here. And it really disappoints me because, as I said, this is by far one of the most visually impressive films this year, easily. Anime in general, easily. This is visually beautiful and stunning. A lot of different frames from the movie can just be screenshot, and I love when I can say that about a film or an anime or anything. Any frame in the movie you can kind of just screenshot and it'll be like a wallpaper. So yeah, visually, it was very good, but story wise it just didn't have enough at all. Like it's not even like it just missed the mark. It literally did not explain anything, in my opinion. I could be wrong. People could have got a lot out of this film, just because I think directors might have wanted it to be interpreted in a more artistic way and left it up to viewers' interpretation of why things meant what they did, or what, there's probably bubble explained videos all over YouTube right now, and a bunch of different opinions of why things were happening, and maybe I just didn't get it, but I don't know, bro. I think they just did not explain enough at all. This is my genre. This is the type of movie that I usually really like. So I think if I just was there confused for most of it, I think there's probably an issue more so than it is my user error. A couple of things that I did still like about the movie. I did like the girl that came out of the bubbles. I thought her character was interesting enough. She was kind of just mysterious. There was something wrong with her. You could tell she's not actually fully human. Obviously, she's a bubble. And I thought they could have did a lot more with that. The main character actually did remind me of one of my favorite characters of all time in anime history, Ponyo. That I think this movie maybe pulls a bit from Ponyo. It's kind of like a mysterious girl emerges from a magical sea entity, kind of related a lot there. And that's where I thought, okay, maybe this is gonna be great, maybe this is up my alley. But I don't think the two films are comparable quality wise in any way, just because Ponyo explained things. Like, it actually blows my mind how little they explained. Ponyo explained things. Ponyo, we learned about where Ponyo came from, why she exists, why there's magic even in the world. In this world, we are as clueless as the humans in the story. We have no clue after years why the bubbles are there, where they came from, what their intentions are, what if they have, like, they sentient beings, are they intelligent? Like, we have no clue what is actually going on. We're kind of just dropped in the world and kind of there to just live with the characters. And that is luckily one of the better things about the films. I did like the main cast. I like the characters. I always like movies about like teens just kind of like together into like a new group and making a family and kind of just interacting with each other. I love films like that. I love anime like that. That's kind of what it was. I did really like the main scientist girl. She was hot. You know what I'm saying? That was, what I'm saying? She was like the only woman in the movie. She, what I'm saying? She was enough. But like, as I said, just because nothing was explained, it just felt more so like this was an anime premise. This is something that, if this had just been episode 1 of a 12 episode anime, and then maybe in episode 3, episode 6 is where they start actually explaining stuff, this could have been really good. Because at no point in the film am I there like, okay, this makes sense to be set at this point in the film, because then we'll get to this part of the film. It's kind of like, I don't want to say the pacing is off. That isn't really it. It's more like the structure is all out of whack. It's kind of like a tournament aspect to the sports aspect of the film that is in there, and we're kind of in the middle of that, and we're like, okay, but like, what does this have to do with the overarching story? Like, oh, why is this happening now? Like, it felt like just an episode that would be in the anime, just like a fun episode in the anime. Another thing I did really like, one of the main parts of the film was tricking and parkour. I don't consume a lot of tricking or parkour, like, extreme sports like that, where you're kind of just like, You've seen the videos where the guys are just like kind of like walking like 1,000, 1,000,000 feet in the air on skyscrapers and jumping off of things. And you know, I don't really like to consume stuff like that because most of those people die. Definitely did like it a lot here, you know, seeing it in an anime where, you know, they're anime characters, it's a cartoon, it's not real. I thought it was a really, really cool idea for something that should have been an anime. You know, they could have had so much more with the sport that was created with the bubbles and tricking and parkour. You know, that could have been a really interesting anime premise that could have been just like a sports anime. They could have made a whole sports anime out of that. But no, they decide to give us a mystery, a world building mystery that is never explained. I don't know what the goal of the film is. What story is it trying to tell me? And that's just where it fell short. And for that reason alone, is just couldn't particularly enjoy it. I found myself bored at times, confused at most of it, and it really sucks because this movie, as I said over and over and over again, this movie had a lot of cool ideas, had a lot of cool characters, a lot of cool, you know, world building stuff that could have been, if it was just threshed out, it could have been really, really good. I really would have enjoyed, you know, a visually impressive film that had a little bit of a story, but it had no story, to be honest. It actually had nothing to follow. There's a lot of random things that just, it felt like, I can't believe like this was a movie. Like I don't understand how this was supposed to be. The greatest things about movies, and the reason that I love them so much, especially in anime movies, it's because they are tight-knit, concise stories. This point and this point and this point and this point and this point all strings together to create a tight-knit, flowing story. You know, that's what's so great about movies, and that's what sometimes falls short with anime because it's kind of jumbled up. But that's what this movie felt like. It felt like a jumbled up anime that was not, it just shouldn't have been a movie. It just shouldn't have been a movie. And I've said that a million times now. That's about all I have to say about this film. Definitely watch it. As I said, if you're just like really, really pretty anime, this is your movie for you. I definitely think it's, regardless of every downside I've said, regardless of that, if you like that stuff, you need to watch this movie. You still need to watch it. Yeah, if I was rating this on visuals alone, it would get like a 9, bro. This shit was on the level of maybe Weathering with You even. Like, it might even look better than Weathering with You at some times, but with the story included, I can't give this more than a 5. 5 out of 10. Netflix's new movie, Bubble. 5 out of 10. Yeah, it just fell so short. It's just all over the place. The story is not a story. You know, I don't know what theme I'm supposed to be following. I'm more confused after I watched it than I was before I watched it. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you guys enjoy this series, there should be 2 of these releasing today. I released one on Pompo the Cinephile. Another movie that I seen in theaters that was much better than this one, so be sure to check that one out if you haven't already. And yeah, show this playlist and this series some support down below if you guys want to see more reviews. See me it for me.